What's new in filmmaking technology this week? News, reviews, education, insights, opinions, and ideas from the CineD newsroom with Nino and Johnnie Bahiri. This is Focus Check, the weekly Cinetech podcast.
Welcome to episode 16 of the CineD Focus Check podcast. Hi, Johnny.
Hi, Nino. How are you?
I'm good. And let's dive right in. We have a lot to talk about. Cine Gear is just over. Unfortunately, we both personally were not there, but Graham was there for us.
True. And hopefully next year we can make it too, because that's an essential show. And we love the place. We love the people.
Yeah.
But Graham...
Next time I try not to have a wife that's 9 months pregnant. So,
congratulations.
well, not yet, but yes. So that I can't risk it. Okay. That's the only reason. But honestly, I mean, this show seems like it's growing every year, and we've been many times. It's growing in relevance. You see more and more companies actually focusing more on that rather than any being away. But for the cinema, of course, it's cinema crowd, and
also announcements-wise, I mean, Panasonic, and we already discussed last week about Panasonic and Canon.
Yeah.
So obviously, big announcement just before the show. And we have to say that Graham and Kevin, our cameraman, also did really great job over there.
Yeah. And also Luciano, who edited the videos.
Absolutely.
Very short turnaround, very nice. We still are in the process of publishing as we record right now.
But we are
recording this on Tuesday, by the way. We can mention that. It's not like Thursday. Usually what we publish is on Thursday. So by the time you listen to this, there will be more stuff online from Cine Gear.
That's
already.
Right.
Yeah.
But we also had our own announcements for Cine Gear.
We announced last week, just before Cine Gear, that we are launching a CineD memory card. It's a memory card built by Angelbird, branded with CineD. Now, the cool thing is we wouldn't do this if we didn't believe in the product. I mean, we've been having a very good relationship with Angelbird for a long time. They seem to be one of the very few memory card manufacturers that are actually, they just have an amazing support in a way. I mean, they are marketing. Of course, I mean, it's memory in general is a bit of a, you never know where is the actual. If you're not familiar, you're like, it's 1 terabyte here, 1 terabyte there. It's from different manufacturers, but it all comes down to what happens if something doesn't work.
Yeah, but first thing first. First of all, by the way, we have a very nice factory tour if you want to see how Angelbird is making their cards. That's one thing. Second, you might have known, a lot of brands are doing cards, but you will be surprised to know that there's like a mother company and sub brands. And this is, that's where Angelbird is completely different. They are the manufacturer, they are the brand, they are here in Austria, and they're doing a good job. So it's not that we became suddenly a card manufacturer. Don't mistake us. We are still doing what we love doing, but we decided to cooperate with them and have a 1 terabyte CFexpress card branded with our logo. And yeah, it's a very good card. I know people asked us, they emailed us to know about availability. As you said, we even working with very expensive cards, things can happen. But all in all, we have those cards in the office. We've been working with them for a very long time.
And don't forget, I mean, the main reason why we do this, sorry to interrupt you, but it's giving our readers a great deal.
Of course.
I mean, that's the real, I mean, we've been working with it, and we basically, because we already had an established relationship with them, we were like, guys, if we are selling this for you, we help you sell some cards, can you make an amazing price for our readers?
So what is the amazing price?
Yeah, and it's it's $180, $179.99 euros and dollars plus tax, depending on where you live. I mean, of course, unfortunately, the tax is different in different countries. But if you're a business, you're not paying the tax anyway, the sales tax or VAT, depending, and or getting it back from whatever the finance minister. But in general, I mean, it's an amazing price for 1 terabyte. It's the normal price is what, $359 or something.
It depends where, but I guess you can get it. Even if you can get it in $20 more, like in other places, still this is cheaper. And we are actually giving, when you will get the card, you will get 10 days free access to MZ, which is our educational platform. That's
the only way you can get those 10 days free. It's not like you can go on the website and get 10 days free access to everything on MZ, which is, 900 lessons worth of content from dozens and dozens of different courses.
The only downside, and again we have to be completely transparent here, is that this card cannot be shipped all over the world. Yeah, that doesn't depend on us. That really depends on Angelbird and their distribution methods. So for example, in the UK, maybe it will be very difficult to order from the UK, but we are looking at some creative ways even to bypass this. But if we will have news,
we're working on it. Yeah.
Exactly, we will share with you guys. So we are sorry about the inconvenience in case that you tried to order the card and you were not able to do so.
Yeah, of course, we had a couple of people, especially from the UK, who wanted it, and we're working on ways to make that happen as well.
That's right. But head to our site, you will see the deal over there. We would love to see you having an Angelbird branded, like a CineD branded Angelbird card, and also, if you did purchase the card and if you will post a photo in Instagram with that card, you might win, a little prize. We have a small raffle. Maybe from Angelbird and Condor Bleu, they have this
recording module.
That's right.
For iPhone. Yeah.
iPhone, and you can just connect it to any USB-C. But interesting
that's
times
every
ahead.
month. Every month we will give one away if you post a video or photo of the card online. Now, for people who are watching the video version of this podcast, the way you can get the card, you actually head to Angelbird's website and...
sorry, I have to correct you. You cannot go to Angelbird.
Not directly, but
exactly.
you have to go through CineD. So that offer is not available on Angelbird's website. That's kind of like, it's very exclusive to our audience.
That's right.
It's not accessible directly on their website. You cannot find it. But the link is on our website. And then you see the full price, and you will have to add this to the cart and then add a discount code. And the discount code is CineD 1 terabyte, like 1 TB, but it's all on the website. And then this price, the $359.99, will be reduced to $179.99.
Which is, again, that's the net price. And you will see in the site, it will calculate the shipping cost and taxes, whatever.
But in general, it's still a better deal than anywhere else. So, yeah. So we can't be ashamed of that. So, okay, let's move on. I did a little review of I've been actually working on this for a long time, of the YC Onion Pineta Peak tripod. Now,
you actually named it. Is it a Sachtler tripod killer? Nino, what do you think?
Yeah, so the Sachtler, the Flowtech from Sachtler has been an extremely popular tripod. I mean, we reported about this when it came out. I think it was 2017 or something.
When we were young and handsome.
And which of course it became a very, very popular option. For people who don't know it, I mean, it's a one clutch design on each leg with the clutch on top, meaning you can open it on top and then the entire legs will release. There was a quick release version from Sachtler before, but those with just one clutch per leg, but it was in the middle stage of each leg, so which meant it was more difficult to operate, because this you can basically do by having both of your hands around the top of the tripod and open all three of them at once and then adjust it. Now, they were the only ones in the market for a long time with this, of course, patented and everything. And then there's a couple of things that, I mean, I always like that it works really well. It's very easy to operate those clutches. They're very easy to open and close, which is important. There's some things I was not so happy about. For example, the way the legs are shaped. It has a upside and downside. Well, the upside is, of course, it's very stable. The Flowtech, it has this wide.
Are you still talking about the Flowtech?
The Flowtech, yeah. It is wide, this wide diameter in a way. It's not a round shape like a traditional tripod. It's like a little bit of oval, and it's all carbon fiber, but it's a lot of carbon fiber, which means like it's light, but it's not that light. It's like 3.5 kilograms, or I think, what is that, 7 or 8 pounds, and it is a bit noisy, I would say, if you move it. You know what I mean? It's like it's because you have those carbon fiber elements that are kind of clunking within each other when you move it. So if you have to reposition during a shoot and you're not supposed to be loud, I mean, it's not that it's loud, but it's still making some noise. Yeah, it's rattling a little bit. But other than that, it worked really well. Now, I did review another tripod last year, which was using a similar design also. And that was the first one that kind of had the similar design, was the Sirui, what is it called? SVS, I think. Wait a second. SVT 75 tripod, which I also reviewed. We'll put the link in the show notes. There's also a video review. Now, don't get too excited because this tripod is not available anymore.
It's vanished from the market.
It's vanished.
So what happened?
There was a patent issue. So apparently Videndum has a patent on this clutch design, so they had to pull it from the market. Sirui quietly replaced it with a new version, which is a more traditional, like a round screwing mechanism kind of thing. It still looks good, but it's different. I mean, it's not the clutch design anymore. So you can't get that anymore. So that leaves us with the new, not so new actually anymore, the YC Onion Pineta Peak.
And what would be the destiny of this one? I mean, again, patent issues?
No, YC Onion says they use a different design and there shouldn't be, we heard also from others actually, that this should be fine. It doesn't seem like there is the way it was implemented is different. Now,
okay, good to know.
The cool thing about the YC Onion is also, well, first of all, it was first announced in 22. We did a video at IBC. Then we did an update video at 23. And they're always changing small things. And you could tell that they are really working on this and getting a lot of feedback in. Now, it's a little bit confusing because they're still working on it. They're still enhancing it and changing stuff, which is good and bad. The good thing is, I mean, you can tell that they are after this. They're really listening and they're really enhancing stuff all the time. Now, on the other hand, if you have seen other reviews online before, just be aware that it might have changed in the meantime, some small stuff, yeah. Because even the tripod that I used, there's one element that I will talk about in a second that they actually changed or they are about to change from the version that I reviewed. But long story short, this Pineta Peak works really, really well. The clutch design is as easy to operate as on the Flowtechs. It uses a more traditional round-legged, like a round-shaped tripod legs, which I like.
Is it making any noises?
It's making no noises. It feels lighter, but it's actually the exact same weight as a Flowtech. It's funny. It feels lighter because of the round shape, and it's just a little bit easier to grab in a way. The clutch. What I like is the clutches are so easy to operate. They open and close so easily. It's one of those products you touch and you immediately realize it's working. It's not like you always say you're not working for the product, it's working for you. It's one of those things. It's immediately, it's like second nature. And that's nice about it. They have, the one thing that they are changing, I mean, they have like lock buttons on each leg now on top. And that's a bit of a weird design, which they're changing for that reason, because you can lock each tripod leg individually, so it doesn't actually open when you pick it up if you don't have a mid-level or ground spreader attached, because if you do, it's locking together anyway. But if there's no spreader inside, it might just open up. But with those buttons, you can lock it in place. But the downside is to release those buttons, you have to lift the whole area around it. And then you also unlock the legs, which means you can change the angle. It's a bit hard to explain in audio, to be honest. So please watch the review. It's not a big deal, yeah, honestly. But they're removing those lock buttons. And I don't think you even need them.
So it would be easier. The whole operation would be easier.
Yeah, you don't need to use them anyway, because now you will only have the little lifter there to adjust the angle, basically. And it can go very low. I mean, it can go down to 16 centimeters from the ground, which is amazing. It can go up, I think, 155 centimeters. And there's also an optional center column, which you can add that even makes it higher than 2 meters. They say on the website it's up to 185 centimeters, but I don't know, there's a mistake because it's 2 meters. It's very high. Yeah, it's a good thing.
So 3 quick questions. 1, price of this one.
Yeah, the cool thing is it costs half the price of the Flowtech. So I think it's around $800. Was it? Yeah, like 750 actually. Unfortunately, it's not available right now. At least it's not shippable from B&H, and it's not on CVP. So we put the Amazon links there. It's $749, and it's also available in other markets in Europe. We put all the links there. Yeah, it's half price. I mean, the Flowtech legs, I was actually surprised. They are literally twice as expensive.
Crazy.
I thought they got down in price a little bit, but it didn't.
So obviously they give a good run for the money.
Yeah, absolutely. And also a lot of things are very smart about this, like the way it's designed. For example, the rubber feet are removable magnetically. It's very easy to do. Yeah. And then also they have it includes a little ball head. It's not a fluid head, but it's like a little ball head. It's called the coconut ball, and it's a way to balance very easily. You don't have to screw open at the bottom. It's not like the active head from Sachtler, which is great too, which you can do on top. And it's not a fluid head. It's just a little balancer. So you can put a fluid head on top of this, but it's included with the package. The Flowtech doesn't come with any of this if you buy it without the active head, which makes it even more expensive. But you can actually put an active head on top of the Pineta Peak, and that works too. Yeah.
Okay, so talking about heads, you actually reviewed the legs themselves.
Yeah, I just reviewed the tripod.
Yeah, are you aware of any head coming from YC Onion soon, or that was?
There is a head which is optional, which is very cheap. It's called FH75, but it's very basic. I think it's only $100.
Do you know if they're working on a better solution?
I'm not aware of that.
Okay.
But this is something you can get because it's like if you need it for like locked off shots, but there is no counterbalance adjustment and stuff like that. So I wouldn't use it to pan or tilt much. Actually, the tilting works better than the panning. But it's $100. But you can get it, and I think if you buy it in together with a tripod, it's even cheaper. But it's not a replacement for a proper fluid head.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
Should we move on to? Well, actually, before we talk about Cine Gear stuff, we just had the WWDC from Apple.
Yeah, great.
Any filmmaking related stuff you're aware?
Well, I think the most noticeable thing is that there are two announcements. One is from Canon. They are releasing this RFS 3.9mm f35 STM dual fisheye lens, which will go on the EOS R7. And obviously, you will be able to produce some, hopefully, engaging content.
Stereoscopic.
Exactly, for the Vision Pro.
And it's only for the R7. I think it only works on the R7.
Yeah, that's true. And of course, there is another announcement by Blackmagic Design, which took us a little bit by surprise, I have to say. I mean, this is not our core.
Well, the funny thing is, I think Apple put Blackmagic a little bit on the spot here because they mentioned it in the WWDC keynote and showed a photo of. I'm sure it was all like agreed and stuff, but they showed a photo of a prototype Blackmagic camera very briefly and said there will be more news later this year. And then Blackmagic, an hour or two after the keynote, actually released on social media.
It's like, where's the press release? Where's the press release?
They
have to release
have
something.
no pressure. So they just released a couple photos of their prototype.
That looks interesting.
Stereoscopic URSA camera. So it's called the URSA Cine Immersive or something. And it's basically an URSA with two fixed lenses built into the camera. So it doesn't look like it's removable. And it's still, they say, prototype stages. But of course, I mean, it's very smart because I'm sure this is the 17K sensor, right? Because the problem with the Vision Pro is it's very high resolution. And if you use those VR and AR goggles in general, and especially the Vision Pro is very high resolution. It means the problem is no camera is kind of high enough in terms of resolution because you need two 8K images at the same time. Now, very smart, of course, Blackmagic can offer that with their 17K large format sensor. So that's why they are making this, which should be interesting. So there should be a lot of that's a way to create original content for the Vision Pro without having completely crazy rigs where you kind of strap two Red V-Raptors together or more.
I have to confess, I'm miles away or apart from this type of workflow. This is really
we haven't actually tried a Vision Pro yet, but of course, it's very niche yet right now, but it's something that's starting. And actually, Apple announced yesterday or on WWDC that the Vision Pro will come to Europe in next month to a couple of the bigger countries. So that's, it's still very small for Apple standards, but
what are actually the uses of such a thing? I'm asking in a very innocent way. No, yeah, this kind of they're producing such type of a VR video.
Well, I'm
for
sure
the Vision Pro.
I'm sure they will push hard on. They will even produce Apple TV Plus content, which is specifically made for Vision Pro, because they right now, as with all VR headsets, they need reasons for people to buy it. The problem is you can't really, in a video like this or an audio podcast like this, you can't really convey the experience of using any of those headsets without even using them yourself. You know what I mean? It's like, it's not something you can show in a video because you will have to experience it. And everybody who's used them is extremely excited because of the resolution, because of the way you can interact with content just with your hands. And you can basically, it's putting, for example, I think one of the most useful ways of working with the Vision Pro would be to have a very large screen in front of you for working. So you can have like a 60, 80-inch screen in front of you, high resolution, and still see your surrounding through the goggles and just work with this as if there was an actual screen here. And of course, it allows for having, very immersive motion picture content if it's real 3D. But as I said before, the problem so far was to produce this. And I can definitely see, like Blackmagic, they're working on a workflow with DaVinci together. And I think they even tease that you can edit with the Vision Pro on your head while you're working with DaVinci, because then you will see what it looks like, of course, as you're editing. So it's a whole new world. And I'm sure that Apple will even produce Apple TV Plus content exclusive for Vision Pro users in order to sell more of those. Yeah.
But anyway, guys, if you are using already the Vision Pro, if you're impressed or less impressed, or if you see any future for that type of system, or if you can really think about producing some content for that type of need, just share with us. It will be interesting to know if if I'm a bit backward here or too traditional, or how do you see the future?
I think you would change your mind if you put it on your head. I think it's just something that's right now it's quite clunky, the first version. It will shrink in size and it will become, probably not like a smartphone that everybody's running around with them. But I think as a static device for people in offices makes a lot of sense.
I'll be happy not to get sick by putting something on my...
Well, you shouldn't, because that's also with the Vision Pro, of course, the processing is so fast that one of the problems that the older Quests and so on had, that the horizon would tilt a little bit with your head moving because the processing was too slow to generate the images, but that's not the case anymore. So you could get some nausea from that in the past. But I think all those things they have tackled a lot. But yeah, let's see. I think it was only a matter of time. I'm surprised that we haven't seen any of those rigs before, because that was one of the questions that I tried to find out from Apple before.
Takes time.
Of course. But it's great to see that, now we have motion picture production for the Vision Pro. So I'm very excited to actually try out that Blackmagic camera when it comes out, and maybe, review that and just in conjunction with the Vision Pro. So
yeah, I'm happy that at least one of us is really enthusiastic about it.
But other than that, of course, there were a lot of AI updates now from Apple, which will be deeply integrated in their devices as well. Maybe finally make Siri usable.
All I wanted was to call my mom.
13 years later, you can finally use Siri for a lot of things. No, but honestly, there's going to be a lot of stuff. But in terms of filmmaking stuff, that was a big announcement. Shall we move on to
Cine Gear? So what is Cine Gear? People might be aware of NAB, IBC, and some other shows. What is Cine Gear?
Yeah, we mentioned in the beginning. It's in Hollywood. It's a cinema gear show. It used to be quite small. It used to be in Paramount Studios for many years. Then during COVID, I think what they were always struggling, I think the organizers, to actually get the venue, because especially during COVID, when all the streamers were producing like crazy, all the stages, the sound stages, were occupied with actual productions, so they didn't get the venue. So what ended up happening, I think for 2 years it was moved to the Los Angeles Exhibition Center, which was not the same, because the cool thing about Cine Gear was always that most of the show, or much of the show, was outside.
Outdoor.
Usually good weather in LA.
Very informal, very nice.
Informal, very easy. Smaller booths than at NAB, less business feeling, and you had the actual DPs there. I mean, you had the Hollywood DPs are walking over the lot. Now this year, for the first time, it's on the Warner Brothers lot, which is a bigger lot than the Paramount lot, and it's also much bigger. Well, it was big before, but it's growing every year. And as we said in the beginning, there's also big announcements. I mean, we saw some really top line DPs there this year. Roger Deakins was there with his wife James Deakins, and a lot of other very big DPs were walking around, and a lot of manufacturers very proudly posted photos of those cinematographers at their booths. So you can see how much this show has grown in terms of also recognition. And
So what did we pick up? We picked up few products.
Yeah.
Anything that we want to start with? Maybe with the Tilta Hydra.
Yeah. You want to say something about it? Yeah.
No, you want to say something about?
Well, I reviewed the original Hydra arm car rig. Now they released a Pro rig. I mean, it's a bit confusing, to be honest, because only a month ago they also released some smaller options in the same range, which is like a suction mount that is battery powered, which is nice because it kind of sucks out the air automatically, and it also kind of gives you a warning if there's an air leak, so you can be more safe if a suction mount is attached to a car. Now they released a Pro version of the Hydra Alien. The biggest thing is now there's this big arm, like electronic arm, which is actually taking out most of the, it's a suspension arm essentially. And it's electronic, and on top of that you can attach all kinds of different gimbals, and of course most obvious and most used one will be the RS series from DJI. They have mounted it here on a bike actually, so I mean you can do crazy stuff with this, and I think it's more flexible than it was before. And
Tilta had another announcement, which I think it's even a bigger one in terms of usability, maybe more accessible for many other people. This is the Mirage Pro. It's a modular 3-stage matte box with electronic VND. So what do we know about this one?
Well, the thing is, we didn't have a lot of electronic VNDs in the market so far, right? Of course, there's Sony built in with their FX line, and Burano with the electronic variable ND, which works really well. But then there was the, what's it called? There's a handful of other. Cine, what is it?
From Zcam.
No.
Which one?
Actually, I mean the Austrian guy. Cine variable ND.
Austrian guy.
Yeah. Cinefade. Yeah.
Okay.
Cinefade. Yeah, he's Austrian. His company is English, but it's now marketed from C-Motion, which is also an Austrian company. It's a variable ND filter.
But those are quite expensive.
It's quite expensive, and I mean the Cinefade is marketed as a basically ND ramp product. So they were trying to push this as something that you can use in conjunction with pulling iris, so you can change the depth of field during a shot. So for example, you go from deep depth of field to shallow depth of field, which of course you can do with any electronic variable ND, because Sony, you can just, if you put the ND on automatic and then change the aperture on an FX camera, you have the exact same thing. But the problem was always that, so the Cinefade is there, which is expensive. And then there's, I think, something from Panavision, which you can only rent, of course. But other than that, there were no options that work on all cameras that are attainable. Like it was really only the Cinefade.
And now comes Tilta with what? It's gonna
I think it
start from
starts at-
300
Yeah,
USD
I think with the EV&D it's
to
600,
600.
but
yeah.
still it's like nothing.
Yeah.
It's only 6 stops though. I think it's 0.3 to 1.5. So it's not, because the predecessor of the Mirage had 9 stops, but it wasn't electronic. But still, it's a starting point, and you have something. But in general, I mean, it's a new matte box. The EV&D is an option that you can have.
Yeah, it's a 4x 5.65 inch filters that you can slide in.
I think 3 stages, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, what's nice? I mean, it's crazy we even have to mention this, but it's a no drop design. It's something that I always had to shake my head whenever I was working with one of those matte boxes. Like, if you don't kind of tighten it, the
Say
filter
goodbye to
literally
the filter.
falls through to the ground. I don't understand why, because you pull them out on top. So most of them actually don't have something that locks the filter at the bottom, even if it's unscrewed. Well, this one has, finally. Should have been something on all of them, to be honest. But if you know why that is, tell me, send me a message. I'm not an AC, but it's something I was very confused about. It's a swing away matte box, which is nice, which means you can just easily swap lenses without having to take off the matte box, but you can attach it directly to the lens too. And
do you know how you power the VND? Via USB-C, I see.
I think, it's probably D-Tab or something.
And you can, USB-C,
okay.
which of course it's also easier. And you are able to control the whole thing with the Nucleus Nano 2 wireless follow focus. That's what Graham is reporting, and you can actually see the video and the demonstration. Quite nice, I would say.
Yeah, we have a video on that. Put the link in the show notes. Very interesting concept. I think there is no exact shipping date yet, but I think it's going to be in the fall. So I think a lot of people will be excited about this. And from all the videos we've published so far, I think that's been the most popular. So you can tell that this is something that people want. But
there were other products that were exciting us. Let's talk about the V35 project first, maybe. It's a retuning for Sigma Cine lenses. We're going to talk about Sigma lenses in a second, but what is so special about retuning? Because we see more and more companies actually doing something like this for existing lenses, mainly from Tokina and Sigma. So what is the whole idea here?
Well, I think the V35 project people started with retuning the CNE primes from Canon to look like the K35s, which are incredibly popular. A very old set of lenses that has become popular over the last 10, 15 years, especially with red cameras, I think, are becoming more popular because they have a very nice vintage look, and especially in commercials, you see lots of them, and they are going for crazy prices on eBay still. I think if somebody bought one of those sets in the early 2000s, they would have gotten them for nothing and be able to sell them for many times more. But so basically, they wanted to make an affordable version of that by modifying CNE primes from Canon. And the way it works is you send them lenses and then they modify them, or you actually can buy them new and ship them directly to them. I think there's probably some legal issue why why they can't sell you them outright. I don't know. Maybe so. Basically, you have to ship it to them or ship your lenses to them. And in this case, now they do this with the Sigma Cine Art. Actually, Sigma
the high speed
Cine
primes.
lenses, the high speed primes, and actually detune them, because the Sigma Cine lenses are, of course, Sigma lenses in general are known to be very precise, very, very sharp, edge-to-edge sharpness and on all that, and not really having a vintage look. But they are modifying.
What look they want to achieve here?
They're trying to make them look like the Kowa full-frame lenses, which are also very popular.
Interesting. And it's funny because also here at the office, we were quite excited to hear about this. And I think in general, everybody is looking for some ways to be special and produce something that looks a little bit different. And that's another attempt. And it looks like everybody and his moms are now making lenses. But obviously there's like a second wave of companies that are trying to retune, detune, whatever you want to call it, the look of existing lenses.
And the turnaround is good. I mean, actually, I think it's 4 to 8 weeks that it takes them, but it's also reversible, which is interesting. So you can, if you decide to, you can also make them normal cinema Sigma lenses again.
Yeah. The nice thing is that if you go to the V35 project website, you can see that it's not only about the Sigma lenses that they're trying to remodify. They're also doing it with other lenses, be it the Nisi Athena, DZO Film, Tokina, Viltrox, Zeiss, and other Canon. So there are different looks, different lenses they're using in order to retune them. So interesting. Just check the video, maybe even go to the V35 project website and see if there's anything there that capture your attention and, of course, your budget.
Yeah. Let's move on to Astera LunaBulb, another RGB.
And then we go back to Sigma because we also made an interview with Yamaki-san.
We'll do that afterwards.
Yeah. Okay, so Astera, what is new with them? Let me quickly check here.
Well, they released it's called LunaBulb. It's an 3.3 watt RGB MA IP44 rated LED bulb. So basically another RGB bulb. The cool thing about this one, it has the standard size of a normal regular bulb, meaning it has not the bulk that many of those RGB or in general LED bulbs are adding, which of course makes it problematic putting them in normal fixtures as a practical light. We know a lot of gaffers and so on, they're struggling with this sometimes, or just, shooters that just want to replace a normal bulb in shot.
If you're really, really still struggling, you can actually take the head of the bulb and you stay with something very, very small. It's quite amazing, very nice. And this is cheaper, I think, 10% cheaper all in all from their previous model that they had. So it looks nice. It looks very, very nice. And there's like a station that you can put up to 8 of those, and you can control or kind of program either individual or all into whatever setup that you want. Looks very nice, very straightforward. Nice idea. Well done, Astera.
Good. Back to Sigma?
Yes, back to Sigma.
What can you tell me about the interview that Graham did with Yamaki-san, the CEO of Sigma?
So first of all, it's always nice to talk to Yamaki-san. I think he's one of those CEOs that are always happy to share information. And I think this is just very good for us as users. This time, what we wanted to hear is, first of all, about the world first 28 to 45 millimeter f1.8 DGDN art lens. And this one is very special. It's really the world's first. I think it's built after the 1835 millimeter that Sigma has, which is APS-C. They know, you've been working a lot with this lens. This is a super popular lens. So what Sigma tried to do is literally copy the popularity of that lens from APS-C or Super 35 into full frame, and they came up with this 28 to 45 millimeter lens. I think it's very interesting. Graham already been using this lens for quite some times, and he was really happy with it. And the other thing that we try to touch, we all know that Sigma is coming up with more and more Canon RF lenses.
Well, first, maybe you want to mention the 2470.
You will mention it.
Yeah, they also talked about the version 2 of the 2470 f2.8 DGN art.
I got to love those lenses, those names. Yeah,
yeah, that's also a lens I love, the original one. And this was upgraded now L-mounted, E-mount only, but with a built-in aperture ring. And it's just, in general, it's we reported about this before, but it's lighter now, and it's just an amazing standard zoom lens for, it's basically a stay always on your camera kind of lens, and you can't make any mistakes with this because every focal length on this original lens already looked like a prime lens, and it can only get better, of course. Sorry, I interrupted you. No so they talked about RF lenses.
But sorry, I just want to say one more thing about the 28 to 45 millimeter, which I kind of forgot to mention. it is a zoom lens. And Yamaki-san specifically said that he would also love to see photographers using that particular lens, because at the end of the day, they really try to make, in terms of picture quality or optical quality, that it's almost like 3 lenses in one, the 28, 35, and 45 millimeter. They really emphasize that on those stops, 28, 35, 45, the optical quality is very, very high.
And I think we should add, I mean, if you see focal range 28 to 45, you might think that it's not wide enough and not long enough. You know, like if you compare to a 24-70, but like you said, I think that's the wrong way to look at it. It's not a replacement for a 24-70. It's really an additional thing because it's f1.8, and we all know, you know, like the f-stops are exponential values. So f1.8 actually means, I think it's 2 fulls or 1.5 stops faster. So 1.5 times more light goes through the lens compared to the 24-70 2.8. That's a lot. You know, it's exponential. It means like double. Every stop is twice as much, and it makes a big difference in terms of shallow depth of field and so on. And people should not forget it's also autofocus lens, and usually they're very, very good at autofocus as well, even if they're shooting wide open. Yeah.
And the other question that was very important for us to ask, because many of our audience and everybody's asking about Sigma coming up and producing RF lenses. All of those lenses are actually Super 35 or APS-C, and what we asked Yamaki-san, where are the Sigma RF full frame lenses? Well, Yamaki-san was kind enough to smile and actually say that there is no current plans to produce those. We can only...
Well, they're working on it. They're trying, he said.
Well, in some ways, I guess this is a very much internal thing, and I really wonder if Canon is up to allow other companies to produce RF lenses, because if not, that means they're the only one to manufacture those full frame lenses. So it's really interesting to see how,
We talked about this last week when we mentioned the C400 announcement. I think Canon is trying to protect something here in terms of their business, which is understandable because lenses can have high margins, and especially the RF lenses from Canon are quite highly priced, very good lenses, but still expensive. And it just makes it a little bit hard for people to get into the ecosystem, because if you need to buy into the RF and you want a standard set of lenses, it's going to be a lot more expensive than, for example, to buy into L or E mount ecosystem.
But it's a cat and mouse. I mean, let others produce lenses for your mount system,
and the price will come down.
Not only that, no, they will buy more cameras from that with that mount. So it's a bit, but hey, everybody has its own business model, and let's see.
We just hope it will open up, because I think it's one of those things that holds the Canon cameras back, which they deserve more. They deserve to be used by more people, but I think the lens issue is a big one.
Nino, let's move to the Viltrox lens, because this is a very special one. Obviously, we can see that Luna is a very popular name lately. We just had the bulb, and now there is also the Viltrox Luna 30-300 T4 zoom lens. We took a first look at this one. What can I say? I mean, this is of course not a run and gun lens. It's a $65,000 lens. It's T4.0 throughout the zoom range, which is very unique. This is also, I think, a significant move to see a Chinese company is moving out of the comfort zone and trying to do something very unique, very expensive. And I'm very curious to see how this will be received in the market. Of course, this is not for the run and gun. What is, I think it's like 16 kilo. Where is the weight here?
Yeah.
1 second. 15 kilo. It's a 15 kilo lens, which is quite heavy. But again, I have to say, it's nice to see that Viltrox is trying to do something a bit different here.
I think, honestly, I mean, it's a very new price bracket for a company like Viltrox. And I wonder if there's going to be, of course they are competing with Cabrio lenses and stuff like that, which are expensive too, but Fujinon is a more established name in that game. So it's still half price, but it's still a lot of money. And let's see. I mean, it's very niche, of course, I think.
Well, it's niche, at least for us, for the run and gun shooters or documentaries, but maybe on bigger sets. And
well, I guess it's wildlife, I guess. And
it will be just interesting to see if this lens is or how it's being received in the market.
I guess it's like a car, it's like built to order. I can't see those sitting around in a warehouse for long.
It will be shipping in 2 months' time, but whatever you think, guys, it will be interesting to know your thoughts about a 30 to 300 T4.0 lens for $60,000.
65. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just want to mention also the SmallRig accessory ecosystem for the Burano, which looks quite nice. I mean, it's funny because SmallRig usually is so fast with having accessories for cameras. This one, they took their time, which I think was a good idea.
It's not ready yet, by the way.
It's not ready yet, I know. But there's some great ideas here. For example, we see they have a little side hand. Well, it's not finished yet, like you said. Like they're still working on some ideas. But what I like is that they didn't add a lot of bulk to the camera. Well, one of the great things about the Burano is that it's for a cinema camera, it's quite small, and they're not trying to make it big, which is good. And there is a side handle, which in this demo, that the interview that Graham did, was attached to the left side. And this handle is movable by it's just like a push button thing. So it's actually quite nice. It's comparable, I think, to the standard handle of a FX6, which you just by the press of a button change the angle of this. Here it is. If you're watching the video of this, you can just adjust by pressing a button and just adjust the angle, which is very nice if you do, like high angle, low angle shooting. They also added 2 different types of rods. So there's 19 and 15 mil on top of each other, which is nice. Of course, that means you need to adapt for the height difference, but still, I mean, it's and it doesn't make it very bulky.
And the whole sliding mechanism in order to balance the camera.
Yeah, there's like a dovetail plate.
Exactly, that's quite nice.
And on top, they enhanced the whole situation with the viewfinder and the cable, which is one of the biggest pain points of users of the Burano, that it's, it's kind of inflexible the way it is if you change from the viewfinder setup to the monitor setup. So in general, work in progress, but I think a good job.
Around September, that might be. They don't know yet what type of kit, like how they're going to sell it.
Yeah.
What will come with, but it's a nice move from SmallRig.
And I guess if you have a Burano and you're looking for something, maybe this is worth waiting for. And as we know from SmallRig, those things usually don't break the bank.
They're very competitive price-wise.
Yeah.
Good. Nino,
should we wrap it up?
Let's wrap it up and also say that hopefully we can come back to Cine Gear in the sense of some more information in our next week.
Yeah.
With some, because we're still posting some stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, that was just a little bit of a glimpse of Cine Gear content that we produced. And thanks everybody for listening. Stay tuned. Subscribe to Focus Check on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Give us a good rating, please. Share with your friends and family. Annoy them with camera nerd stuff, because everybody should listen to what we say. No, not really, but you know what I mean. Like,
just for fun.
Yeah.
Good.
All
guys,
right.
thank you very much.
Bye.